We get our salaries, we get our utilities and other needs in your home provided for. If you have children who are school age, they get education at some of the best private schools in the country where you're serving. And then you get other support too if you have family members who want to travel with you, a spouse, for example. We try to help provide employment for spouses as well.
You're listening to Nurses on Fire, the podcast for nurses by nurses aspiring to financial independence. I'm your host, Naseema McElroy of Financially Intentional. Let's spark some flames, y'all. Have you gone to the grocery store a million times this week and still forgot the onion? Don't trip. Instacart's got your back. Get local fresh groceries delivered right to your front door in as fast as an hour. No need to stress like I do when I send my boyfriend to the store for apples and half of them are bruised. Every item is hand selected by shoppers to your personal preference. And check this, you can shop from multiple stores in one order. Instacart also looks out for your pockets by highlighting deals to help you save money. Get unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. To start your 14-day free trial, click the link in the show notes to let Instacart know that I sent you and to help support the show.
Welcome to episode 20 of the Nurses on Fire podcast.
And if this is your first time listening, thank you so much for tuning in. I would be eternally grateful if you took a moment to subscribe, leave a review, and share with other nurses that you know could benefit. If you're listening to this in real time when this episode comes out in November 2019, we are running a giveaway for a $50 Amazon gift card to get to our first 100 reviews. So, if you would like to be entered in the contest, here's how.
Step 1.
Write an honest review for the Nurses on Fire podcast in iTunes or the Apple Podcast app. And before submitting it, screenshot it, then submit it.
Step 2.
Send a screenshot of your review to Naseema at financiallyintentional.com.
Step 3.
Join the Nurses on Fire podcast Facebook group. When you join, it's going to ask you for an email. Use the email that you use to submit the review. Good luck to everybody who enters, and I look forward to reading your reviews. I'm also super excited to announce that I am opening up some opportunities to work with me. And in order to find out how to do that, you're going to want to make sure that you're on my mailing list. The best and easiest way to do that is to join the Nurses on Fire Facebook group. So it's the Nurses on Fire podcast Facebook group, and enter your email there to be put onto my email list. Hopping right into this episode. So this is the final installment of our series about working and living abroad. In this episode, I have one of my good friends, Aquania Escarne, joining us. Aquania is a United States diplomat working for the U.S. Department of State. Not only is she a diplomat, she also is passionate about personal finance and has her own website, The Purpose of Money, where she shows women how to invest and save so they can live a more fulfilling and prosperous life. Aquania's passion for personal finance began when she was in high school and her dad gave her a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and at the ripe young age of 16, she opened a Roth IRA account and has been seeking financial independence and early retirement ever since. So she aspires to create generational wealth for her family and has created multiple streams of income for her family to enjoy today. She still works her 9-to-5 as a diplomat, but is counting down until the day her residual income provides enough money for all her family's needs. Without further ado, episode 20, This Nurse Can Be a U.S. Diplomat. I am super honored to be able to welcome one of my good friends, Aquania Scarnay, to the Nurses on Fire podcast. Hey, Aquania.
Hey, Naseema. How you doing?
I'm awesome. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about my story and share it with Nurses on Fire.
I'm excited to have you here too, because you have an amazing story. So let's just hop in and tell everybody what you're all about.
Okay, awesome. So I am a U.S. diplomat who works for the U.S. Department of State. I've had the opportunity to serve the U.S. overseas in several countries, including Haiti, United Arab Emirates, and Ecuador, as well as work on foreign policy in the US. And when I'm not supporting world peace, I am also helping women pursue financial independence through my blog, thepurposeofmoney.com, where I share money tips and tricks on how to really manage your money and build generational wealth.
And that's awesome. And I'm not ashamed to say that Aquania is responsible for helping me with my platform as well. So I appreciate you for that. But Aquania, let's go back. And before we talk about working abroad and being a nurse, I want to learn how you were able to basically go to school for free and how you entered into being a U.S. diplomat.
Okay, no, sure. It's a great story. At least I think so.
I think so too.
So I have to admit, I was an undergrad student who pursued a passion for international affairs and went to one of the most expensive schools at the time, George Washington University. I grew up in Georgia, and my mom at the time wanted me to stay home because there were local scholarship opportunities. But I knew to really get into foreign affairs, you needed to be where the magic happened, which is in Washington, D.C., or at schools that have really good programs. So my first 2 years of undergrad, I actually worked 2 jobs and I went to school full time in order to afford my education. And my mom helped as much as she could, but I also spent 2 years looking for scholarships. And it was my pursuit for money in my second year where I discovered the Thomas R. Pickering Fellowship, which is a fellowship program that helps individuals of financial need and diverse backgrounds find a career in the foreign service or foreign affairs field. In exchange for 5 years of service, I was able to get some of my education paid for. And that's how I was also led to a career in the foreign service. One of the things I didn't know at the time when I went to school was that to be a U.S. diplomat, you really didn't need to have family connections or deep pockets or some type of political relationship. You really just needed to have an interest in serving your country and being willing to take the exam. But finding the fellowship also allowed me to get a master's degree, which the U.S. government helped me pay for. The Thomas R. Pickering Fellowship still exists, and now it's actually expanded to include the Rangel Fellowship, which is named after Rangel, who served in Congress for several terms, and the Payne Fellowship, which is to help individuals more interested in U.S. development in foreign countries abroad with the U.S. Agency for International Development. So you have 3 options that you can kind of pursue and still lead to a diplomatic career and a paid master's degree.
So they paid for your master's degree or your undergrad and your master's degree?
So I was lucky. They also paid for some of my undergrad studies, but they have since made modifications to the fellowship. So now if you're to apply, they only cover a master's degree. But at the time that I applied, I got my junior and senior year of undergrad paid for and 1 year of grad school. And then my second year of grad school was a combination of loans and support from my graduate institution, Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. So it was not completely free, but it was significantly reduced debt for me. I have to admit, I graduated with a master's and undergrad debt about $25,000 total compared to some people taking on that much debt per year. So I'm very, very fortunate, and I know that. But that was one of the benefits to finding this scholarship when I did, is being able to have 3 years of school paid for.
Yeah, actually, when I was in college, a year was $25,000, and that was what, almost 20 years ago. So I can only imagine how much college is now per year, especially at some of your top institutions. So, I mean, even though you didn't get everything paid for, that was a major, major come up. And so, wow, I love that the program still exists, even though it's a little bit different, but it's still a major discount. And you're basically guaranteed a job, correct?
Yes, that is correct. It's sort of like we'll give you the money now, but you have to come work for us later. And that's amazing too, because I graduated grad school in 2007, and some of my colleagues were looking for work and really couldn't find it. And then 2008, it was almost impossible for some of us who had significant graduate degrees and debt to find good jobs. But I was able to graduate and go straight into the Foreign Service in January of 2008. I knew I had a career. I had full salary and benefits waiting for me. I just basically had to provide proof that I graduated and completed my studies. And then also I was able to do an internship with the State Department as well. So I ended up going to Ecuador to work in the embassy, which I thought was awesome too, because you got to kind of practice and experience the culture before you signed on full time.
That's awesome. So not only are you coming out of grad school during a recession, basically, with a job that has great pay and excellent benefits, but now you're able to travel the world with that job. I mean, it's winning. Oftentimes, I think like programs like that, and I know for nurses, it's kind of like if I was to do something like that, I would have to take a significant pay cut as kind of like an agreement that, you know, I was kind of like giving back, you know what I'm saying? So they
Right.
pay for your school. So now you basically work almost for free. How did you, your program wasn't like that though, right? You had a full like regular diplomat salary.
Yes. So the good news is once you've graduated and you come on board, you still have to take the test that everyone else takes, but you come on board as a regular employee. They look at your education and the fact that you have a master's degree, you actually qualify for a higher salary. So it's like a win-win. You win twice. And when you come on board, they will also take in consideration any other experience you may have had. So I was unique in that I went straight from undergrad to graduate school. So I didn't have a lot of work experience, but I did have some. But now a lot of the fellows end up taking a break in between the two studies. So they have work experience, they have a lot of other value that they can add to the diplomatic corps because of that experience. So they compensate you based on a lot of that information, your education, your experience, and what you're bringing to the table.
That's awesome. It is like win, win, win. A whole bunch of wins. And so I'm going to post, if you don't mind sharing the links, I'm going to post links to that in the show notes if somebody is interested in pursuing that. Let's hop into talking about what kind of jobs nurses could get in this program.
Absolutely. So one of the cool things about the State Department is we pretty much hire everybody. Some people in my class studied science and math and technology, English, and now we also have medical professionals that we hire as well. And so we have select times of the year where we recruit for nurse practitioners and physician's assistants. Our next opening is actually coming up. It's in December 4th through December 17th, 2019. They're going to put out an opening on USA Jobs where you can submit your application and proof of your eligibility. In order to be a qualified candidate, you have to have 5 to 7 years of full-time primary care experience, and it has to be recent. So if you did it 10 years ago, you're not eligible. But if you're doing it right now, or you did it within the last couple of years, and you've consistently been in your field and you're up to speed on the training, you qualify. And the really cool thing about this is you can use your skills as a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant to live abroad. You essentially come on board and you serve at our embassies and consulates overseas, helping employees who are at the mission navigate local medical services support and whatever medical needs that they have. Because when you move overseas, we still try to provide you top medical care support for you and your family members. And then, life happens as well. So sometimes your skills are needed to help navigate current medical situations that may not have been expected. So we recruit for medical providers to fill those needs, to staff our embassies and consulates, to help navigate local medical situations and to guide our families. The opportunity is really amazing because you get the same benefits as everyone else. So I go overseas and I focus on logistics and foreign policy, but our nurse practitioners will focus on medical care, but we all get housing provided for by the federal government. We get our salaries, we get our utilities and other needs in your home provided for. If you have children who are school age, they get education at some of the best private schools in the country where you're serving. And then you get other support too if you have family members who want to travel with you, a spouse, for example. We try to help provide employment for spouses as well. So on our website, careers.state.gov, there's actually some live videos where you can hear from some of our medical specialists and the providers and their experiences working overseas.
Wow, that's amazing. So I don't want anybody to skip over all the opportunity that
That's a lot. I'm sorry.
But no, that's good information. And then also you gave a great resource for people to go to at careers.state.gov to look at videos to see. But yeah, what I want to talk about next is okay, let me clarify one thing before I make an assumption.
Okay.
So when you're working abroad, you basically get the same salary that you would get in the States?
Yes. So everything is US based. So unfortunately, that includes taxes. If you're in the foreign service, you still have a state that you claim as your home. So you get the benefits accordingly. For example, we have people from Florida, Texas, New York, California. If you're in a state that has tax-free income status or tax-free if you're away for a certain amount of time. So most of y'all know Florida, there's no income tax. Texas, there's no income tax. California, there's no income tax if you're abroad for a certain amount of days a year. And New York is the same way. So you claim whatever state you're from. If you happen to be from one of those states, you get those tax benefits. Unfortunately, I'm a Virginia resident. So Virginia always gets their money, but I get to get my US salary. And then we have some other benefits too. On top of your base salary, depending on where you choose to serve, there's additional benefits. If you go to a danger place, you're going to get paid more for that. If you go to a country that doesn't have the same living standards as the US, you're going to get paid more for that. And those are called differential and hardship pay. But then we also have cost of living allowances, which means if you go to an extremely expensive country, say in Europe, for example, or even when I was in Dubai, they give you a percentage of additional income to help you support your expenses in a more expensive place. So there's a lot of opportunities to make more money in addition to your base salary. It just all depends on where you choose to serve.
But what's important is that you're making this money, but yet your housing costs are covered, your kids' education are covered, and that's easily a chunk of what you're going to spend your take-home pay on any day.
Exactly.
And so being able to work in this capacity abroad allows you to rapidly accelerate your path to financial independence, if that's what you're aspiring to. And that's why I wanted to share this as an opportunity, because basically all you have to do with your money is stack. Like, even if you wanted to.
Yeah. So it still requires discipline, though, I have to be honest, because you can fall into the trap of, well, I have all this disposable income. Let me travel all the time. Let me buy everything I ever wanted because I don't have any bills.
I'm known as a debt slayer because of the $200,000 in student loans I slayed in 2.5 years. I hated those loans and dealing with the loan servicers. I was head down and focused and wanted to get rid of the debt as soon as possible. Knocking out these loans and seeing a zero loan balance was one of the most liberating feelings I have ever felt. But recently I learned that by not optimizing my student loan payoff strategy, I lost money. I'm talking about big money, y'all. I could have saved $80,000 if I had a customized student loan plan by the team at Student Loan Planner. Please don't make the same mistake as me. If you have student loan debt, especially in the six figures, head over to studentloanplanner.com/financiallyintentional to get your customized student loan plan today. Do you know how your retirement funds are invested? Do you know how much you're paying in fees? Chances are you're on the same boat as some of my coworkers. Some of them set up their retirement when they first got hired and never looked at it again. Some have let a computer select their investments and don't even know what they're invested in. Worst of all, some people have their retirement funds sitting in a savings account and they're not even invested in the market because they're afraid to lose money. That's hella scary, y'all. What's even scarier is that some of you listening don't even have a clue what I'm talking about. And guess what? This is super common. This has to change today. Let Bloom do the work for you. Head over to financiallyintentional.com/Bloom and get your free retirement account analysis. They'll check and see if your retirement account is optimized for you, and they'll let you know if you're paying too much in fees. That's Bloom with 3 O's. Bloom can also manage your retirement account on an ongoing basis so you can take the stress out of retirement planning. If you choose to work with Bloom, their fees are incredibly low, less than your Netflix subscription. You have enough to worry about. Let Bloom handle your retirement account. The hardest thing you'll have to do when it comes to your retirement is remember that Bloom is spelled with 3 O's. Head over to financiallyintentional.com/Bloom. Remember, spelled with 3 O's, and get your retirement account squared away today.
But we have quite a few people, to be honest. We have an amazing retirement system. So our retirement plan is the thrift savings plan is similar to the military and other federal government agencies. So you can max that out if you so choose. Then we also still get a pension, which is unheard of for a lot of companies. But we get a pension if you do 20 years of service or you're at least 50 years old. So that's in addition to whatever you save in your retirement account, and that's in addition to Social Security. So we have 3 legs of money that we can eventually tap into. But we have a lot of people in the Foreign Service who choose to invest in real estate. They have homes that they leave, but they rent them out while they're gone, in addition to the fact that they're not paying for housing when they're gone. So stocks, there are other ways to invest your money, and part of that can include travel as well. I have to admit, I've been to 37 countries now, and I definitely take advantage of when I'm living overseas to travel, but I also take advantage of the extra income I have to do investments as well.
How was it for you to travel abroad with your family?
Awesome. So everyone is different, and you have to know what your family is capable of. But in my family, we chose countries based on where we wanted to be, where we thought we would thrive the best. And my husband is in the private sector, so I also needed to go somewhere where he could work. But so far, it's worked out really well. And even in Dubai, which is quite expensive, we were able to save a significant amount of money because we maintained a 2-income household. But in Haiti, for example, my husband like commuted every other month, and we kind of saw each other in Miami, DC, or in Haiti because his job wasn't in Haiti. But I was also making more money to live in Haiti. So we had additional income that could support us commuting every other month to see each other. So that worked out really well. And my kids who have grown up in this lifestyle are still pretty young. My oldest, we went to Dubai when he was 22 months. So he just knew about being near mom and dad. And that's all that mattered. Unfortunately, he doesn't really remember living in Dubai for 3 years, but I'm going to try to go overseas again. So that'll be something that's more, in his mind. My youngest is the same. Like, he's 6. He just wanted to be around mom and dad, but he was born in Dubai. So he has that special story that, he can share as well. But so far it's worked out. I think the biggest thing to worry about is too many visitors. I got like 30 visitors in Dubai. So if you go to the right place, you will see more than enough for your family.
And whether that's a good thing or not, is to be debated.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. But I think that it's amazing that your kids get this opportunity to see different parts of the world, even though they're still relatively young and they might not remember. But you have the opportunity to relocate to a different country pretty often. Like, how often do those opportunities present themselves?
So we rotate about every 2 to 3 years, depending on where you are living and working. And that's, I think, is the perfect amount of time. It gives you enough time to move, settle in, get used to where you are, get the job down, and then move on. So you have the opportunity to impact some change, but you don't get too comfortable that you lose your knack for innovation and freshness. And we're kind of like the military in that you know where you're going a year before you leave. So you're preparing your family, you're preparing yourself. And then when you come to Washington, D.C., you can stay here up to 6 years. Right now, that's the rule. So I've actually been back in D.C. since 2015, but I can stay here until 2021.
Nice. Okay. But that's only if you're in D.C. because that's where all the government is.
Right. But if you want to go from one country to another country, you totally can. We have people who do that, and they'll tend to spend 2 years at the first 2 places they go to, and then 3 years every other place after that, unless it's a more difficult place to live. Because the harder it is to live there, the shorter the tour of duty. So we have some places, they're limited, but the tour duty is only 1 year, for example, and that's Afghanistan and some of our Pakistan tours and Sudan, for example. But then you'll have other places where 2 years or 3 years is the minimum.
When I was interviewing Rich Journey, so our Rich Journey, so Amon and Christina, they told me something that made me like want to move like tomorrow. They told me that some company or some jobs will come and actually pack up your house and then unpack you where you're going. Is that true?
That is exactly what we do. And the government does it. Private sector does it. My husband's job is a global company. And if I didn't have this benefit, we could use it through him too. Because when we worked in Dubai together, he basically moved with me and worked at their office in Dubai. But if I didn't have the moving privileges, they would have paid. So that's absolutely how it works. And that's honestly, I can't move any other way. Like when I think about college and how you used to move dorms every year and you'd get all your friends together to help you and you're trying to borrow a car, like that is just not the way to do it. When you move with the State Department, you will never move the same way again. They hire companies, they come do a pack out survey, they pack up all your things for you, in front of you, safely, make sure they're going to be transported well. And then when they get to wherever you're going, they sit and unpack all the boxes too. Take the paper, take the boxes with them. So you can literally move very smoothly if you want to. But then there are some people who, they're control freaks and they like to manage the process a little too much. But you do have the option to utilize the movers to do everything.
Wow. I just have so much PTSD from like all the moves that I've had in the last couple of years. Like that would be a serious barrier for me to try to take a job abroad. Like the thought of having to move and pack, I'm like, oh yeah, that would hold me up. But I mean, like just hearing that, I was like, okay, I'm gone. You've convinced me. I want to leave like tomorrow. And so I think that there's so many opportunities. So for this particular opportunity you're talking about, it's specifically for nurse practitioners and physician assistants.
Physician's assistants. But that's just this cycle. So we have psychiatrists. We also, if you have any doctors listening, we do hire mostly general practitioners because they like people who have a range of skills so they can be kind of applied in any environment and do well. But the opening for the medical provider MD background is opening up later in 2020.
Okay, so just right now, do you guys ever just take straight up RN, just registered nurses?
Not right now, but there is a possibility that they'll open it up depending on the needs of the service and what we're missing. We have a couple of positions in Washington, D.C., where they have nurses that staff our medical facility that helps with medical clearances and support in the U.S., but those are split between contractors and civil service positions, which is another way to work for the government, but you don't travel as often as those in the diplomatic corps.
Got you. But there's still opportunity out there. Yes.
Yes, there is always an opportunity. Knock on that door.
Yes. But for somebody, like say, for example, somebody wasn't a nurse or maybe was a nurse and wanted to go back to graduate school to be a diplomat, they could go through this program and then work like you do to work on policies and different things in these countries, right? Okay.
Absolutely. And you don't even need to go through the fellowship. You don't have to have a master's degree. So let me be clear. I want everyone to hear this. In order to be a U.S. diplomat, the only requirements by law is that you're an American citizen, you're at least 21 years old, and you pass the test. That's it. There's no like, you must have a master's degree, you must be a genius. No. 21 years old, American citizen, passed the exam. And so careers.state.gov is actually a really useful resource because one, we have more information to help you understand the test process because it is multiple parts. Part of it is a written exam. Well, it's not even written anymore. We just call it that, but it's on a computer and it's kind of like the GRE. Part of it is essays that you write and part of it is a oral interview where in person they talk to you and learn more about you and how you would be a good fit or whether or not you wouldn't be a good fit. The citizenship doesn't have to be born in the U.S. You can be a naturalized citizen. That's mostly related to the fact that you are serving the U.S. government. So you have to be able to obtain a security clearance. So citizenship is a requirement, but dual citizenship is not something that will prohibit you. We have individuals who maybe they're from the Bahamas, maybe they're from Jamaica, and they want to maintain those citizenships in addition to their American citizenship. You can do that. And then the other factor is it helps if you have a background in foreign affairs, but again, English, science, pretty much anything. We do have a lot of lawyers. Most people who join the Foreign Service, it's their second career. They're at least 31 years old, but we hire up until 59 and a half. So you can literally do whatever your heart desires, retire from that, or decide you want to have a change in your path and then come on board and become a part of the diplomatic corps. And that is always available to you. And so you'll see we have a diverse corps that more and more is reflective of the U.S. culturally, ethically, but also age-wise. We have diversity in who represents America overseas. And so Those are the requirements. And if you're really interested, we also have an app, DOS Careers. It's an app you can download, tells you more about the foreign service, the civil service, and has practice test questions. So you can sort of get a sense of what types of questions they ask on the test and whether or not you want to study for it.
Give you guys a little bit of perspective of what kind of people work for the State Department. So Aman and Christina, like I said, from the Artist Journey, who were on a past episode, Aman was a civil service, like out of college. And then Christina was a lawyer who then went back to work in civil service. So, you know, coming from totally different backgrounds, but basically, I think they even worked in the same office. So, you know, there's just so much potential and wide array of things that you can do working in the State Department of State, or however you say it.
Yeah, it's okay. You know, it's funny. People say different things and sometimes they don't even know where it is. I get a lot of people who ask me, well, what state do you work for? And I say the U.S. Department of State. And fortunately, in the last couple of years, we've had a lot more well-known secretaries of state, such as Hillary Clinton, Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice. So we're finally starting to sort of get people's attention. And Madam Secretary, a series that's actually ending this season, kind of helped as well. But I have to admit, we're still working hard on branding and getting people to understand, like, U.S. Department of State's a federal agency. We do foreign policy and we're here. These are job opportunities that you can pursue. So I appreciate you sharing this information with your audience and, you know, making sure that they know they can use their nursing skills abroad and save money and experience the world.
And I love that you said that you still have to do it with intention, though, because it's easy to blow that money. So, yeah, thank you for stating that. But, Kwania, how can people reach out to you, learn more about the purpose of money or your RRD investments? How can people get in contact with you?
I am on Instagram at The Purpose of Money. I'm also on Twitter at purpose_money, and my website, thepurposeofmoney.com. Check me out. I'm putting tips every day on social media to help you navigate and writing blogs that tell my story and those of other women building wealth. So check it out. And I look forward to hearing from some of you on Instagram and on my website. You can contact me. I'm very responsive to those who are interested in the purpose of money or in the State Department. I am an advocate for helping more people know about this opportunity, especially women and people of color. So feel free to reach out to me if you're interested.
And thank you so much for all your wonderful information, Kwania. Many, many thanks to Kwania for coming on and sharing her knowledge and experience with the Nurses on Fire community. She shared a lot of good information with us, so I want to make sure you don't miss a thing.
Tip number 1.
So if you're a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant, you want to make sure you hop on this opportunity that's coming up to work for the State Department.
We have select times of the year where we recruit for nurse practitioners and physician's assistants. Our next opening is actually coming up. It's in December 4th through December 17th, 2019. They're going to put out an opening on USA Jobs where you can submit your application and proof of your eligibility. In order to be a qualified candidate, you have to have 5 to 7 years of full-time primary care experience, and it has to be recent.
If you're not a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant, you still can work for the State Department.
In order to be a U.S. diplomat, the only requirements by law is that you're an American citizen, you're at least 21 years old, and you pass the test. That's it. There's no like, you must have a master's degree, you must be a genius. No. 21 years old, American citizen, pass the exam.
Tip number 2.
There are so many ways in working abroad, especially through the U.S. Department of State, where you can save money and accelerate your path to financial independence. But there's also a lot of opportunity for you to blow that money. So make sure if this is a path that you want to take, you stay disciplined.
So it still requires discipline, though, I have to be honest, because you can fall into the trap of, well, I have all this disposable income. Let me travel all the time. Let me buy everything I ever wanted because I don't have any bills.
Tip number 3.
On top of all the incredible benefits of working with the U.S. Department of State and being able to explore the world and make really good money in this capacity, I don't want you to sleep on the fact that there is a fantastic retirement system that has 3 tiers, and I love the way Aquania explained it.
We have an amazing retirement system. So our retirement plan is the thrift savings plan is similar to the military and other federal government agencies. So you can max that out if you so choose. Then we also still get a pension, which is unheard of for a lot of companies. But we get a pension if you do 20 years of service or you're at least 50 years old. So that's in addition to whatever you save in your retirement account, and that's in addition to Social Security. So we have 3 legs of money that we can eventually tap into.
I hope this episode was valuable for you and you see some potential in being able to work for the U.S. State Department. It's an excellent way to accelerate your financial goals and to accelerate your path to financial freedom. Hey guys, I'm super excited to announce that I'll be speaking at the first annual Financial Freedom Summit, and I want to meet you there. It's going down May 1st through 3rd, 2020 in St. Louis. So if you're ready to kick your finances in gear, the mission of the summit is simple: to help you reach the next level in your financial journey, no matter where you are. Whether you're thousands in debt, building your first budget, saving 6 months of expenses, or close to financial independence, there's something for you at this event. What's even better is that there'll be 50 plus other financial experts for you to learn from, including my finance besties, Jamila from Journey to Launch and Kirsten and Julian from Rich and Regular. They'll be experts covering nearly every personal finance topic. This is your chance to connect with thousands of other people who have the same interests, goals, and philosophies as you. Not just that, but I'd love to meet you as well. So tickets are going fast, meaning that prices are going to increase soon. I want to make sure you get the biggest bang for your buck. Better yet, you can use a special discount code to get an even lower price. So use FREEDOM at checkout for 20% off your ticket. That's FREEDOM at checkout. Seriously, y'all, I think this event is going to be life-changing for so many people. I'm super honored to be part of it. So for more information on the first annual Financial Freedom Summit, click the link in the show notes, and don't forget to use the code FREEDOM at checkout. You've been listening to Nurses on Fire. If you want to learn more about me or my guests, check out our show notes page. If you found value, please support our show by supporting our sponsors and affiliate, also listed in the show notes. If you like what you're hearing, we'd love for you to give us a 5-star rating and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, or whatever podcast app you're using to stream this show. You guys, tell all the nurses in your life to subscribe. And if you know a nurse with a compelling money story and would like me to feature them, shoot me an email at Naseema@financiallyintentional.com. All right, y'all. Much love and keep them fires blazing.
Thank you for listening to my mommy's podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye.